Hi, I'm going to show you how to access some of the basic features within Google Spreadsheets or Google Sheets. First thing you need to do is find your drive in order to create a sheet. And you would go to Create and choose Spreadsheet. I already have one opened up here, so I'm going to use this to show you some of the basics. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is maybe enter in some of your columns and rows of the information. This is going to be some of the toolbar here that you may want to use. You can change the font, you can change the text, italics, color. You can even fill the rows. If you click on this top part here and click the drop down, it gives you a list of different things that you can do. You can sort it alphabetically, you can format it, you can insert or delete, you can hide it if you have lots of columns and you are having troubles, you don't need the column to be visible all the time, you can hide it. So there's other options too. So let's say I wanted to make this a color. I would select the row, come up here, fill it, and maybe highlight it yellow. And that's easy to also undo. I can either hit the undo button or I can come up here and actually just go back to fill if I need to and reset that. A couple other tools that are useful is if I have some information that I've typed that might be lengthy, wrapping the text is also very helpful. Let me show you that here. So I've just quickly typed in some text here, and notice it kind of drags on through the rest of the cells. So what I'm going to do is select that cell and click on wrap, and it automatically makes all the other cells bigger because it's wrapping that text. So I've typed some data in here, and now I want to show you how to use the function feature. If I highlight all of, actually I'm going to push the cursor into the box right here. If I come up to this function, I can insert a sum. That would be adding up all of those together. And it kind of gives you a little bit of a tutorial here as far as how to do it, which is very helpful. Maybe I want to do an average instead. So the easiest way to do this is to start by selecting the cells that you'd like to use. So I'm going to use that one, and then I'm going to drag it through that cell. When I hit the enter or return button, it will automatically add up those cells to the average. So this is going to be the average of all of these numbers combined. That can be helpful when analyzing data with the class or many other things that may require you within grading to create an average. So you may be wondering, what would be a good way to use Google Sheets within your classroom? I'm going to show you an example of some things that I've done within my class that might be kind of a way that you could obviously use it within your class as well. Within the probability and proportions and statistics math unit within 6th grade, we decided to kind of observe that with M&Ms. So every child was given, or every group was actually given, a bag of M&Ms, the small bag, and they had to come about and put in their data. We did prediction data, and we also did actual data. So their predictions were here, and they knew that they needed to fill in these different tabs. So the 2 tabs here, I added on these later on. So the prediction tab, they knew they had to add on. They had rules here, and it says do not edit any of the cells in red. Because what I had did was I actually set up that function so that it averaged right here. So there's, or excuse me, totaled right there. And here's another one, it totaled right there. Okay? So then data, one of the things that you can also do within this is you can create a chart. That would be very helpful when you are trying to analyze or average or explore on further some of the data that the children have collected. So if I select here, so this is my actual data, I'm going to select just the actual portion, and I come up here to where it's a chart, I can insert a chart. It automatically selects the one it wants me to use, but if I go into more, I notice I have a lot more different choices. I'm kind of looking at a bar graph right now. I'm going to select this one, and this is what comes up. Now notice I'm kind of color coordinated, and I don't really care to have my red be my blue. So there's ways to fix that. If you go into Customize, you can change it. The chart type can be actual and you can change the font color and so on. You can change the background color here. There's other features also, but if you continue to scroll down, you'll notice where it says series. Now that's going to be this data, or this kind of the key here on the side, and I want to change my red to be an actual red color, and so on. And then I go down to green, and I can select it to be green. So I'm going to finish that up here in just a second. Okay, now I've finished making all the colors the correct color according to the key, so I'm going to click Insert. And it inserts the chart over top of the data. So if you click on the chart, the little hand shows up. So then you're going to drag it to maybe where you'd like it to be. So maybe I want it over here. And you can click any area of the chart you want to edit. So if I want to edit this, I can click on it, and it allows me to select some of the different portions of it, and I can change the font color. Maybe I want them to all be purple. Okay, it allows you to do some of those different things. One more thing I'd like to point out is that this sheet that I shared with my group, or my students, I went up here and clicked on the share button, just as in any other Google document, and I actually shared it with a group of my contacts, which were my students. And I gave them editing rights. Once they were able to edit, they realized that their group, which were different names here, they could select, and they were only able to edit the cells assigned to their group. So we explained that this whole section here belonged to Panda, and it totaled out there for them, so they did not need to create their own sum or function. So it's very helpful because notice as I click on the different cells, it highlights them in a color. When multiple students are in here, it becomes multiple different colors. So they kind of own that cell. So when another student sees that that student is on that cell, it's highlighted with a color. So they can't really argue over space in that respect like they could if you were to give 50 students editing rights on a Google document. Speaking of 50 students, only 50 students can edit within a Google spreadsheet, whereas on a Google document, up to 200 people can edit at the same time. So only 50 within a Google spreadsheet, so that's good information to know if you have large class sizes. Okay, and that's it. So what I'd like to pose to you as a question is, how would you use Google Sheets with your class? So go ahead and take part in our discussion forum found on the left-hand side of the web page, and see if you can share and collaborate some different ideas of how you could use it with your classes.